Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to our second annual convening of the JPAL State and Local Innovation Initiative. Really excited to welcome all of you here. Thank you for making time in your busy lives and all of the important work that you do to come together. My name is Mary Ann Bates. I'm the Executive Director of JPAL's North America office, and I'm just delighted to welcome all of you here. So this morning, we'd like to do a couple of things. I want to start with a story that we actually heard last year at this event, for those of you who are here for the second time, that talks about how we think about evidence in practice. And then I'll talk briefly about JPAL's approach to evidence-based policy, why we decided to launch this initiative, and why we're all coming together for the event today. So I want to start with a story from Chicago. And a couple of years ago, the city of Chicago was interested in understanding what the impact was of a summer youth employment program called One Summer Plus Chicago. And they were interested in a couple key questions. So the first was, can a summer jobs program run by the city, which subsidized jobs for teenagers, either in the public sector or with nonprofits, can that help these young people get summer jobs? Or would they have just found other jobs on their own otherwise? So that was the first question. The second question was, would this experience of having a job, having a mentor, and gaining that work experience help make them better off in the future? Would they be able to earn more in their subsequent jobs? And the third question is, can it help keep young people safe? So if you think about unstructured time during the summer, another reason that these programs are often run is that the hypothesis is it will keep young people safe during the summer. So they partnered with JPAL affiliate Sarah Heller and collaboratively designed an evaluation to figure out what the impact of this program was. And they anticipated correctly that many more young people would apply to the program than they had slots available. So they held a fair lottery to determine which of the young people would get a slot in the program. And then afterwards, after the program was complete and some time had passed, they compared the two groups: those who had been randomly assigned to receive a spot in the summer jobs program and those who had not, and used that to then be able to answer these questions. And the answer to the first one was that the program was successful in helping young people get jobs. It wasn't the case that they would have just found jobs on their own otherwise to the same extent, so that was a success. The answer to the second question was actually no. When they looked at later earnings for these young people, at least in the short to medium term, they didn't earn more as a result of having participated in the program, which was a bit of a puzzle. And then the third answer was, yes, it did keep them safe. So this graph shows the arrests for violent crime, the number of arrests per 100 youth, which dropped from about 18 in the control group, so those who weren't participating in the program, to about 12, so a 35% reduction. And what was really interesting about this is that this reduction wasn't just seen during the summer, while the young people were busy being employed at their jobs, it extended throughout the year. So something about the experience of having the job, of working with a mentor, changed how these young people were interacting in their lives and reduced arrests for violent crime significantly. When these results were released, they gained a lot of attention, both within Chicago and nationally. And what I find incredibly exciting is that it unleashed more resources for this program. So at least $10 million were released relatively soon after these results were known to expand the program in the subsequent years, serving more than 30,000 young people. And many other cities have taken notice of these results. There are other studies done in New York City and current ongoing work in Philadelphia that's really helping us learn more about this. So what was exciting about this partnership in particular? So what I found interesting is that it started with and really was driven by the policy questions that the city had. And Sarah Heller, the researcher and the team who worked on this, worked very closely with the city in designing the evaluation and figuring out what data to look at and what questions to ask. The second is that the technical assistance that was able to be brought in from the outside, from the research team, was helpful to the city, not just in learning this answer, but also in building capacity for analyzing data more broadly and thinking through what other questions could be asked. And then the third is that this formed an institutional relationship. So our affiliates in Chicago have formed something called the Urban Labs, where they've been working for years with the city on a variety of different data analysis and evaluation questions. So it's not just that this was a one-off study. In subsequent years, Sarah and her colleagues then looked at additional questions. What happens when you change the targeting of the program? What happens when you modify it in different ways to gain a richer understanding of how this program is working and for whom? So that's one example of what we mean when we're talking about evidence in practice and evidence-based policy. I want to take a step back now and share just a few words on our approach overall as a context for the day. So our mission is to reduce poverty by ensuring that policy is informed by scientific evidence. And our team does that through three main activities. So one is evaluations. This is the research, like the study in Chicago that we're describing, and that many of you are either doing currently or exploring. The second is policy outreach. We have many of our policy team members here today, and they do a lot of work in building partnerships before studies get started, connecting researchers with government decision makers and practitioners, and then also ensuring that after studies are completed, the results are salient and accessible and kind of synthesized and made available to decision makers too. And the third is capacity building. I know some of you have had some of your team members attend our annual executive education course. We also host custom trainings for government partners and others who are interested in learning more about impact evaluation and randomized evaluation specifically. JPAL has been around since 2003, where we were founded at MIT and have built regional offices around the world now. And almost 900 ongoing and completed randomized evaluations have been done across 80 countries. And these range from questions like, how can you reduce child marriage in Bangladesh? To what's the impact of a job training and placement program in France, and everything in between. And what's most exciting to me about this map is also the number of lives that have been touched by the scale-up of programs after they've been proven to be effective. So over 300 million lives have been touched by programs where we have been directly involved in knowing the story of kind of evidence influencing decision-making, making resources available, and then being scaled up. So when we decided to launch the North America office about 4 years ago, in launching that, we took a step back and looked at the studies that JPAL had done internationally and looked at the ones where the policy impact had been the largest, that had led to the largest scale-ups, and found that in many, many of those cases, we were partnering with government entities. So when it comes to really making change at scale, it's hard to substitute for the power of working directly with government partners. And so we decided to create an initiative called the State and Local Innovation Initiative, with a specific goal of trying to foster more partnerships between the research community and government decision makers to enable more of this work. And let me explain a little bit of the rationale for why we decided to launch this and how we thought about it. So first, this is a picture of a sign that was on MIT's campus for many years. Unfortunately, it disappeared. I don't actually know the story about where the sign went. I can only assume that someone has it, and I'm jealous that it's not me. But it's kind of tongue-in-cheek. But in reality, I think it speaks to often the divide between the research community and practitioners and government leaders who are out in the real world, right? So there are many, many people within government, and you know this much better than I, who are innovating with different approaches, who are using data in creative ways, who are really pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And it's hard for people who are within academia to know who those innovative government leaders are, where they are, whether they'd be open to partnering on evaluations, unless you happen to be in close physical proximity. Maybe you're in the same city, or your university happens to be there or not. And on the flip side, there are a lot of evaluators and researchers within academia who are delighted and would be delighted to partner with governments, provide pro bono support, and assist in doing evaluations, but it's hard for governments to know who they are, where the academics who share the interest in the same specific question that they're interested in have capacity, have an ability to work with them, especially if they can bring their own resources to the table as well. So that was kind of the problem that we were hoping to solve, and put together a package of resources that we hoped could make a difference. And those are three main things. So the first is matchmaking. That's part of what we're actually doing with events like this, right? Bringing people together so that they can find each other and find areas of common interest. The second is technical assistance. So our staff and our professors have expertise in how to develop specific impact evaluations, or how to do a particular form of data analysis that might complement the expertise that exists within a given government leadership team. And the third is project funding. So I should mention we received generous support from the Laura and John Arnold Foundation for this initiative, and can provide some pilot funding for a select number of projects to help them get started and not have that be an initial constraint. So I want to zoom in now on the international map that I showed you before to highlight some of the more recent partnerships and ongoing studies that we're doing here in the US with different state and local government partners. And a number of these are here today. So we're very excited to have Santa Clara County, King County, and Baltimore here, who are going to share about their work, especially focused on the area of homelessness. We're excited to have our Puerto Rico here as well. We have some of our academic team here in Puerto Rico who are working on an evaluation that will support work opportunities for TANFC participants. And we've also have a JPAL colleague, Nicolas, who's here, who's serving as the Chief Evaluation Officer for the Department of Education in Puerto Rico. And they definitely get the prize for coming the farthest. So thank you to Gustavo and Nicolas for making that trip. We have the city of Rochester here as well. We'll be sharing their experiences in developing an evaluation of a program that provides a service navigator and life coaches with the goal of increasing earnings and opportunity. And the city of Philadelphia, who will be sharing their experience in developing an evaluation of their summer youth employment program. So we're really excited to have all of these partners and many more here today. And our goal for the next 2 days, the first day is going to be about evidence-based policy across many different topic areas. And then tomorrow we're kind of going to zero in specifically on housing and homelessness related issues. And I want to reflect on two things here. One is that the reason that we're focusing on housing and homelessness on day 2 is because the 3 jurisdictions we selected last year had all prioritized that. When they submitted their letters of interest to us, they said, these are the issue areas we really want to work on. And so we've been delighted to be able to now have a whole cohort working on these topics at the same time. And we really hope that bringing you together like this will help you to share your expertise with each other, right? You're facing some of the same challenges in thinking through how to build in data and evaluation. We're hoping that this can provide a platform for you to learn from each other. The other thing I wanted to reflect on, you have in your packets our agenda, which you can look through. The way we've structured today, we have panels with discussion. We're going to have roundtables. We really want to, as I mentioned, have this be a platform for everyone to learn from each other. So JPAL has specific expertise in evaluation and randomized evaluation specifically, but that's only one form of expertise, and many of you have such deep understanding of the sectors where you're working, of the opportunities and the challenges within government, and we really want everyone to feel comfortable sharing their experiences, voicing their opinions, and doing that. So we really want this to be as interactive a day as possible. A couple specific points on that. So one is that I wanted to flag, in your packet behind the agenda, we've also included a diversity and inclusion statement. This is something that our team worked on specifically for this event. And we've put some thought into how we can try to make this event be as inclusive as possible. And we have some ideas in there, for example, using people first language that we've included as one idea. And we'd love to hear from you your ideas on how we can even improve further in this area, because we really care about it a lot. So please speak with those of us who are JPAL staff members. I also want to flag 2 people in particular who have been organizing this event. One is Juliet. Juliet, can you stand up and wave for just a second? You've received many emails from her. And also Jotna. Where is Jotna hiding? Can you come in here so people can see you? Sorry to put you on the spot. So this is Jotna, and she has been behind the tremendous planning and organization. And so if you have suggestions for how we can improve our convenings in the future, what we can do better, what you loved, what you liked, what we can change, please talk with any of us, but in particular, Juliet and Jotna as well. The last thing I wanted to flag is that we have a hashtag which was on the slide, research to policy, and you can feel free to tweet at us as well, so please do that throughout the day. And also, we have Post-it notes on the table. So as you have thoughts throughout the day and you want to reflect on what we're discussing, please jot down your thoughts, put them on some of these poster boards along the wall, and we'll try to bring that into the conversation as well. One more note, and Jot and Juliet, tell me if I've forgotten anything. We also want you to encourage to sit with and make new friends today. So hopefully you're not just going to sit with the people that you traveled here with, but you'll rotate around. JPAL staff are not allowed to sit next to each other. Researchers are not allowed to sit next to other researchers throughout the day. So if you're doing that right now, I won't shame you from the podium, but maybe as we move throughout the day, you can look for opportunities to meet each other.